Hello, my name is Susie Beghin and I am the owner of Alpha's Discovery Kids Preschool and Daycare. Welcome to my series of videos called Early Childhood Education, Building a Better Future on Mom to Mom Biz Online Academy. I'm very honored to be speaking on this topic, which is near and dear to my heart. And I'd very much like to thank Bella from Mom to Mom Biz for organizing this video series and allowing me to spread my message with you. So in my last talk, I talked about what to look for when searching for daycare. And in this talk, I'm going to be talking about once you've found that perfect place, how do you make the transition from home to daycare? Once you've found that one that's right for you. So putting your child in daycare for the first time is very difficult for many parents. Many of you will be putting your child in as infants, up to 12 months old, just around that time when you finished your leave. Others might be waiting until they're toddlers, and still others might be waiting until they're preschool age. Whatever the age of the child, the transition from home to daycare is difficult for both you and the child. Today, I want to talk about what you can do, what you need to know before your child starts to help make that transition go a little bit smoother. Okay, so first I want to touch on financial costs. When you've chosen a daycare and start the registration process, you are going to be asked for a non-refundable security deposit, and that's going to confirm your spot in the childcare center. Different childcare centers have different policies around this, but most will ask for a deposit. And the reason they do this is to ensure that you don't walk away when it comes time for your child to start. So think of it something like first and last month's rent. They're going to ask for something like that. So because childcare spaces are in such high demand and there are limited spaces, they want to ensure that any reservations that they make are going to be for children who are serious about attending because they've put down some money and they're not, trying to hold multiple spots at multiple centers. So that's the reason for the security deposit. That security deposit is going to be held until the child withdraws from the center, and at that point they're going to use that towards their last weeks of attendance. So be prepared that the cost of childcare is huge. As it should be, I think, because we are providing a service. It's a valuable service for your most valuable resource, which would be your child. Childcare can be one of the biggest expenses that you will have each month, especially if you have more than one child in childcare, then it grows exponentially. So understanding the cost of childcare, what's included, what's not included, the tax breaks you get at the end of the year, those are all things you need to know, and you need to budget for that. And they're important factors to consider. Did you know that you might qualify for financial assistance for childcare fees? So every region has a program for this. It's called a fee subsidy program. And depending on your family income, the number of kids you have in your household, there is a portion of the childcare fees that can be subsidized. So I recommend that you contact your regional government to find out if you qualify. A lot of regional websites will have that information on their website. You can do a quick calculation to see if you qualify or not. And it comes in handy considering that the cost of childcare is a huge cost of your monthly budget. You might be surprised to find that you actually do qualify for childcare subsidy, especially if your income was greatly reduced in the year before you applied for that, because maybe you were on leave or maybe you had a job loss. So any of those things they take into consideration, and they always look at the previous year's income. So you might be surprised to find that because you were on leave, maybe you do qualify for this for that first year of childcare. So I recommend you look into it. So now that we've talked about the finances, the next thing I want to talk about is the actual transition plan. So how do you actually start at the childcare center? Before you start, actually, many daycares will offer something called transition days so that you and your child can visit the classroom, get to know the teachers, and see the routine of the day unfold. This is a great opportunity for you and your child to build a relationship with the teacher, as well as an opportunity to just get comfortable with them and to get to know them. Most childcare centers have a transition period, so take advantage of it. Spend time with your child in the classroom and with the teachers. This will help you and your child navigate this new environment. If you feel your child may need additional transition time, don't be afraid to talk to the supervisor and create a plan that's unique for your own child. So having said that, I really recommend that everybody creates a transition plan with their daycare. So let's say you're going back to work. What I would do is schedule the transition to take place while you are still at home. So maybe those 2 weeks right before you go back to work would be a great time to do the transition. The reason I say this is because you may need to be providing support during this time. You want to make sure that it also happens right before they start. You don't want any break between the transition and the start date. The idea is that it should flow so that you gradually increase the time that the child spends at the childcare center, and eventually they're spending the whole day there. Depending on the needs of the child, the transition could be from 3 days up to 2 weeks. You know your child best, and you will know how long it should take. Generally, the slower the child is to warm up to people, the longer the transition will be. So if possible, try to arrange it so that the first few days are a little bit of shorter days. We know that children who may be upset with their parents not being around for those first few days, having a long day in childcare is really difficult for them. So try to plan it so that their first days can be short days, so that you pick them up maybe right after lunch, and they wouldn't have a very long day. It's very difficult when they're upset to have a long day. So try to start with shorter days and then gradually increase to longer days to adjust to the new routine and the environment. So the next thing I want to talk about is really important, separation anxiety. And I'm not just talking about the child's anxiety, but I'm also talking about you as a parent. So it's going to be difficult for both of you to separate when your child attends their first day, regardless of the child's age. Parents need to know that this is completely normal. It's usually a good sign when your child is upset because they don't get to spend more time with you. So be prepared for this and be strong. I remember the first time that my child went into preschool. I remember sitting in my car and I was crying. And I remember the teacher came out and consoled me, and it was really nice. But I knew that my child was fine, but it finally hit me that my child was growing up, and I was really emotional about it. So be prepared for that. It's important to realize that separating from parents is also an important step in the growth of the child. It helps them to learn independence and social skills when they're able to function in a new environment on their own. In most cases, the separation anxiety period will only last for a very short period of time, maybe a few days, maybe even up to a few weeks for some children. The adjustment period is different for all children. But remember that during that adjustment period, I strongly recommend that you stay positive and that you support your child, because remember, you're helping them grow independence. If your child is having difficulty with that transition, don't stress about it. They will feed off of your stress and become more anxious. So try to remain as cool and calm as possible. It's completely normal, and treat it as a learning experience for both you and your child. So here's some things you can do to help with this separation anxiety. So when you're driving by the childcare center before you start, you're going to want to point it out to your child so that they know where it is. You can even go visit, drive by, talk to them about it, and always talk positively about it. Talk about all the great things they're going to do there. So you want to really build it up so that they feel excited about it. If they sense that you're uneasy about it, that might also translate to their own feelings as well. So speak fondly about the center, speak fondly about the teachers, and start to use that teacher's name at home. It's a good idea to greet that teacher or warmly when you do see them. And in doing so, it helps your child feel safe, and it helps them to know that, they're with someone that you trust and that you have a good relationship with. So maintaining that good relationship with the teacher is critical in those first days, because you want your child to feel like they're in a safe place. So if your child is a little bit older, you can also talk to them about their day. Give them examples of what they're going to do. So you can say something like, when you get to school, you're going to see Miss Susie. She's going to take you into the classroom. You're going to play with some toys. Then you're going to go outside, play on the fun playground. Then after that, you're going to have a yummy lunch. You're going to take a nap. And then when you wake up, you're going to get to play a little bit more. And then you're going to have a snack. And after that, I'm going to pick you up. So by going through the routine of the day, you're setting realistic expectations for your child so that they understand what to expect when they get there. And setting those expectations is key to helping your child with anxiety. Knowing what to expect helps to relieve anxiety and anxious feelings. So it's important to set up those expectations. Lastly, but most importantly, is that when it's time for you to leave the room on that first day, say a quick and confident goodbye to your child. Saying goodbye with confidence shows your child that they're in a safe place. Most children will stop crying shortly after you leave. If you're concerned, you can always call the center after you've left to see how they're doing. And they're usually happy to tell you that they've stopped crying. Sending also a comfort toy or something like a blanket or a stuffed animal can help them to adjust through their day as well. So the next thing I'd like to cover is what you should bring on your first day. So usually most daycares will have a list for you, but some types of things that you're going to want to bring are an extra set of clothes, because they'll always need an extra set of clothes when in childcare. They're going to need indoor clothes and outdoor clothes. Always check the weather, make sure you have warm clothes for them. A sippy cup without a straw is a good idea, because those straws always go missing. A blanket, diapers, wipes, and creams, whatever you think your child needs. Remember that you probably don't have to pack food, because most childcare centers will have food and provide everything that your child needs throughout the day. Be aware that most childcare centers will have food allergies, so be cognizant of that and make sure you know their policies on food so that you're not bringing food in if they don't allow it. Most childcare centers nowadays don't allow outside food to come in, and it's mostly because of the allergy situation. They want to make sure they can control what food is in the centers. So in Ontario as well, all licensed childcare centers require that all children be immunized. So make sure you check with your local municipality requirements and make sure you have all the immunizations that you required. If you do not have immunizations, you're going to need some type of valid reason for that, whether it be a doctor's recommendation or a personal religious belief, which you need to provide to the childcare center. So now, what to expect once they've actually started. So this will be the last thing I talk about. Any quality daycare or preschool will welcome your involvement in the program. So it's a great idea to participate as best as possible in the program to make your child experience the best that it can be. So whether you're able to volunteer in the classroom, go on a field trip, or attend an event at the school, the most important thing is that you know what your child is doing and that you maintain relationship with them. My recommendation is always get involved to the best of your ability. It helps your child to feel a sense of belonging at the center. It's also important to keep the lines of communication open with your teachers throughout the day. Many childcare centers have apps that you can use to keep in contact, but feel free to check up on them during that transition period. Don't be afraid to call up the childcare center and ask how their day is going. We are very accustomed to doing that, and we answer a lot of phone calls like that, and we're happy to do that to help you feel confident that your child is okay. We also encourage you to ask questions at any time throughout the day or at the end of the day to get more comfort that you are confident again with the choice that you've made. You want to make sure you made the right decision. Ensure that your teacher knows everything that they need to know about your child as well. any special routines they have, any special things they need to know, or any special needs they have, so that that teacher can provide the best care possible for your child. And one last thing, you may not want to hear this, but it's very important for you to know this. And I think that you should know this up front. Children will have accidents. It's rule of 101 of the kid book. So be prepared that your child will have scrapes. They will bump their knee. They will get into conflicts with other children. Teachers do their best in this regard to keep children safe and avoid conflict as much as possible. But these things do happen, especially in a group environment. So they will happen just like they do at home as well. So be prepared for this and don't be surprised when it does happen. You should be aware that at every licensed childcare center, teachers are required to report these types of incidents to you, even if they're very minor, and they need to report it in writing to you. So rest assured that teachers are doing a great job. They're doing their best to keep your child safe, but accidents will happen and they can't be prevented. So finally, as a mom and childcare owner, I can tell you honestly that enrolling a child in daycare is one of the best things you can do for them. It's scary for you and it's scary for them at the beginning. Of course it is. But the experience will be invaluable. They'll learn so much. They'll learn sharing, they'll learn patience, they'll learn empathy, teamwork, and they'll learn a lot of skills. I hope I've been able to give you some information and some insights into how to transition and to make that transition as smooth as possible for you and your child. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. You can message me here as well. You can reach out to me on my website. We have a contact information page there. You can reach me at www.alphasdiscoveryclub.com. Stay safe and thanks for watching.